Alright folks, how you doing? Insane rap bloke Dick Coughlan, brother Neuro, Coughlan 666616000 and all the other names. Right, been a while since I've done one. This is one of the ones I get requests a lot to do. Are you going to do an LBC compilation? Well, here you fucking go. Here it is. LBC Callers at their best. Let's go.
So Jarvis, mate, you were telling me what's under threat, what it is you were marching
This is a guy who's an anti-lockdown protester.
in defence of or in protection of.
Thank you, I was, James. Sorry for getting cut off there. That gentleman's not being very fair on me by saying, is it about barking on about this Magna Carta bleep? Hang on.
Well, you were.
Hang on,
I don't know who this other gentleman is, who he's moaning about.
guys. What you're doing is...
Can you just tell me what you were there for, please?
I was there...
This is the question that's being asked in this way, is what are you actually... what are you protesting for? What is your mission statement? Now, you'd think that would be straightforward, but it never is with these ones. That's why it's so fun, isn't it?
Because I'm entitled to be there. My Bill of Rights and the...
Okay, I'm sorry. This is one of the... This is an argument I've made time and time again, but it pisses me off. It's whenever anyone is asked why they're doing something, you get this with gun nuts. You get it with people when it comes to freedom of speech. They say, why are you doing this? And they will say, well, because I have the right to. And I'm sorry, but that is not an argument. That is not an answer to the question. Because you have the right to do lots of things. Do you do everything? Do you spend every day of your life doing everything? And, you even get this one like, gun nuts like to use this, but if you don't, people like use that line, oh, if you don't use it, you lose it. No, that's actually quite the opposite, actually. Generally, the laws that people, tend to this is why you end up with these bizarre, archaic laws that are technically still, they're still technically, around. They've never been repealed, but because no one ever bothered fucking, actually following them, and no one ever bothered actually punishing anyone for it, they never got enacted. They just hung around. The laws that tend to get fucking changed and repealed are actually the ones that people sort of exploit and take advantage of too much, to the point where it becomes necessary to make restrictions. So don't give me this fucking, I have the right to be there, right? Okay, do you have the right? You have the right to do lots of things. Are you doing all of those? Because if you're not, you better hurry up. Yeah. Have an excuse beyond other than I'm allowed to.
The Acts of Settlement, which are ancient English laws, enable me to do what I want, to go where I want, when...
Ancient English laws allow me to do what I want and go... That ain't laws, is it? If something allows you to do what you want and go where you want, that doesn't sound like a law to me. That sounds like the opposite of laws.
I want no lockdown, no restrictions at any point on my freedom in any way.
Are you allowed in the gorilla enclosure at London Zoo?
I can go where...
Go and knock on the Queen's... Go to Buckingham Palace and knock on the Queen's door. Go on. See where that gets. Lunge wildly at the Pope. Let's see how fucking far that gets you.
Where I want. I can come up to LBC, walk into your offices, sit on your radio show, and conduct a show much better than you.
Well, you're welcome.
Have you heard of some of the other cunts on this station? He's probably not lying. You could probably get... This guy will have a show on GB News.
I'm to try, but are you allowed into the gorilla enclosure at London Zoo under the Bill of Rights?
I wouldn't mind letting him in, I mean, whether he's allowed in there or not, if he wants to, I would be perfectly... In fact, if he's the kind of butt-nut who's going to fucking do anything that the government tell him not to, I would like them to make a specific law banning him from the gorilla enclosure, because, knowing him, he'll just... These people are like... that childish reverse psychology of, okay, then you don't do this, then fine, then I will.
That you're describing.
You're already in there. I can't fit in there because you're in it.
Yes, I know.
You can't fit in a gorilla enclosure because he doesn't want to answer the question. It's a simple question. I don't know about you, but I think we owe Harambe one. We never addressed that balance, did we?
You are, but what am I?
You're being unfair and resorting to low level. You know what you're doing?
You just called me a gorilla.
You know what you're doing? You're doing.
I'm retaining epic amounts of patience.
You're doing a very smart thing. You're doing a very clever thing where you ask me questions that are inconvenient.
With a deeply, deeply deluded individual, and
I'm not deeply deluded.
Well, no one who is deeply deluded think they are. That's what the words mean.
To be fair, that's why it's kind of a pointless accusation, because by that logic we could all be. I'm not paranoid. I know you think I am.
Take back our country, and you
From
are
whom?
a fascist.
Take back our country. It's here. You've got it.
From whom?
From you and your court systems, your CPS,
His court systems.
your corrupt police.
His CPS, did he say? Isn't that Child Protection Services? They've got the country, have they?
You're right the way up to the top. We are
How,
coming to take back our country.
on a scale of, I'll put the kettle on.
fascist.
I'll put the kettle on. On a scale of 1 to 10, how involved am I personally in the takeover of the country?
Where are you? We might decide to put you in a gorilla cage for real once we take back the country.
Yes.
Because you are a fascist.
Well,
Slow.
you keep saying that. I'm just wondering.
See, they all show themselves eventually. Like, I've heard you'll be first against the wall when I am king. I haven't heard you'll be the first in the gorilla cage when we take this country back. I don't know what that means.
What my level of involvement is.
Why didn't you come to our protest? Why didn't you join the crowd?
Because he didn't want to catch a disease.
But if I knew what it was about, I might be able to answer the question. What was it about?
Do you not think you're part of us?
I don't know what you're talking about, John.
Well, if he is, as you say, part of the fascist system, why the fuck would he? Why would he protest it?
Are you part of the English people? Are you with us? Or are you with
He couldn't get out of his gorilla cage.
I mean, you personally?
You think that you're...
The
you're
English
so
people.
much-
So unless you go on a lockdown protest with you fucking knobheads.
better
Mate,
than us.
you personally, I'd cross the M25 on foot to avoid, but if you're speaking about some sort of collective movement, I want to know what it represents.
You'll find out.
Well, I know. Tell me.
But you're not part of it.
So you have to join before you tell us. Can you not see how that's a tad counterproductive to your cause?
Right.
So what
I mean, even religions, even cults give you something. They give you some incentive. They don't just say,
you're doing in the background is slowly building and building and building, and all you're doing...
in the fucking background? You've been at the forefront of fucking everything.
is sitting back and working with the mechanism that have COVID-19...
Well, thank you, Jarvis. I must say I preferred your early work. Mike's in where? Why do you think so many...
Okay, this is... This story is related to after Boris Johnson... several people came out and said that Boris Johnson had said in private that he doesn't care. He hopes let the disease run rampant and let the bodies pile up, and it took him about a week, I think, to. He never fully denied it. Sort of, it's the kind of thing you think you would. It's not like David Cameron sticking his dick in a pig's mouth, where there was no real need for him to deny it because it was obviously stupid. But we wanted to believe it because fuck David Cameron.
Maybe I'm being overly kind again, Mike, but I do want to believe otherwise decent people who care about standards switch it off where he's concerned.
Well, I think the answer to that is that you have the view that just because...
I know what my view is, mate. Tell me what yours is.
Well, my view is that ex-President Trump was a good man for America, and my opinion is that Boris Johnson is a good man to lead this country.
You're a moron, thank you.
the fact that he doesn't, that you don't agree with it.
No, it's not. It's not a question of agreeing. I'm interested in why you don't care about him chucking a report into bullying in the bin, so the independent advisor on the ministerial code resigned.
I don't care.
I know you don't. That's clear. But why not?
Well, because
I think we need to figure out why this guy doesn't care. But they are Tory MPs that were being bullied by. So it's hard to bust a blood vessel, isn't it?
it's on the scale of what's happened in this country in the last year. It's meaningless.
Yeah, but you can't just say that something doesn't matter because there's other bigger issues. Because by that logic, we'll never get anything done. Isn't it possible? Shouldn't we be able to focus on more than one problem at a time?
I agree with you, because 150,000 people have died, but apparently you don't care about that either.
No, of course I care about that.
And how many of them do you think would have been avoided with stronger leadership?
I've got no idea.
Well, take a guess.
Idea.
Take a guess.
No, I don't. Look, I'm on here. You asked me why I agree with Boris.
No, I didn't. I said, why don't you care about his obvious moral corruption?
Because, as I said, on a scale of what's important in our world, it means nothing. It isn't important.
Wanting the bodies to pile up in their thousands. How is that not important?
What, did he say that?
Yes.
It's been proven?
Yes.
Oh, he said it.
Yes.
You heard him?
Of course I didn't.
You heard him. You heard him. James O'Brien should have gone, yes. Yes, I specifically heard him. I heard him specifically say those words. I was there.
Who did?
I used to do that with religious people when they bring up, or creationists, when they say, how do you know the Big Bang happened? Were you there? I go, yes. Deal with that, motherfucker.
How do you know that he did?
Well, I'll tell you if you stop shouting. 3 people who heard it have said that they'd happily swear on oath that they had done, and his own spokespeople are refusing to deny it now.
Okay.
So why don't you care about that?
I don't care about it.
Do you know why? Because it's the same reason why. It's like what Trump said when he said he could shoot someone. It's like he doesn't need. There's no rush to deny it because wankers like this will defend it. Even if he did, even if it was recorded on film, even if he came out, he stopped everything. We have a breaking news for this message from the Prime Minister. He went, "Fuck you! I hope you all die, you hapless, thumbless, fucking inbred." One-eyed cunts, and then and then be like, nah, you'd find some way round it.
I know you don't. That's why you've rung in. So why don't you care about the bloke in charge of No, Mike.
Yeah.
He said it. Why don't you care?
Because it isn't important.
So the man in charge of our pandemic management said that he wanted bodies to pile up in their thousands, that he wanted the virus to rip through the population, and you don't think that's important. Just talk me through why it's not important.
No, I don't want to talk you through why it's not important.
Please, that's literally what the phone-in's for.
On the programme.
Well, not really.
Why don't you talk about
because I don't want to. I'm interested.
From your books.
Say that again.
Talk about that.
Why don't I talk about what?
Why don't you talk about you couldn't live off the royalties from the South?
Who gives a fucking raging fucking plonking bollards whether he could? I'm sure he probably could. It was a bestseller. Sold a shitload. I'm pretty sure he could.
Of your books. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, if you want, Mike. As long as you promise to answer my question at the end. Explain what it is you're asking me.
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah.
From the sales of your books, could you live
Who
off
won
the
the
royalties?
Snooker World Championship?
Very comfortably, yes.
Okay, good.
Next question. I'll let you do two more questions, and then we'll get back to the phone-in that everybody else is tuned in for. So go on.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, what I'd like to know is why you still feel when over half of Americans voted for Trump, okay?
No.
In the last election.
No, they didn't. They counted that. We can't argue about arithmetic, Mike.
Your lot got drubbed in the referendum. Your lot got drubbed in
over half of them didn't even vote for Biden.
You just
not my lot, mate. Not my lot in the general election. I was one of Jeremy Corbyn's most cogent critics.
I'm pretty sure 78 million is not half
The
of
question
America.
was, why can you not accept that just because someone doesn't agree with your point of view...
No, it's not my point of view.
Standard, they're sub-mental.
You're putting words in my mouth, and I don't think sub-mental is actually a word.
You're not helping that case, Mike.
No, I don't. I give you an opportunity to answer the questions that I ask, Mike, and the question is...
Oh, he's got his feeling hurts because James O'Brien called him sub-mental. Is that a word?
You're doing it again. I've just given you the free space to make your point. Okay. It's not my fault you haven't got one.
Let me make my point.
Good.
Let me make my point.
Go on then. So you think that the counting...
Go on then! You've had 4 cunting minutes!
The votes in the American election was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't keep insulting
that's counting,
people
Mike.
because they don't agree with you.
It's not a question
That's
of agreeing.
What I'm saying.
Is there a border in the Irish Sea?
Is.
Is there a border in the Irish Sea?
I don't care.
No, but is there?
You don't care. That's the problem, isn't it?
I care about is people's lives. Okay.
So then why don't you care about the bloke who said he wanted bodies to pile up?
All lives matter.
Up in their thousands.
Because it hasn't been proved that he said it, and despite what you've said.
Let's just say, for a laugh, that he did.
Why won't they deny it?
He said it.
Why won't they deny it?
Maybe they will. But is he important?
But they won't, and they.
But wouldn't you be keen to fucking just immediately come forward and go no? Would you sit on that for a couple of days?
Well, you said you care about people's lives.
Have you lost anybody to COVID in your family?
If you care about not in my diet.
I have. Does my fucking opinion matter more now?
Family, no.
Let's not. Don't you have a dick measuring contest over that, or I'll fucking slaughter you.
If you care about people's lives, how can you be comfortable with the chap saying he wants it to rip through the population, Mike? Just talk me through it, mate. I don't know what you're so angry about.
Well, I'm angry.
I think you're angry about a lot of things, James.
Because you
genetics. Fate, evolution.
Please answer the question. It's 11:56. The question is, we've spent 2 hours on the same phone in. You'll allow me to say there's no real excuse for not understanding what question we're asking. You say...
But let's be honest, James, you should have fucking... this isn't exactly, this is kind of a daily occurrence. Well, it's a fucking quarter hourly occurrence.
You care about lives and you don't care about all the other stuff. No, not the majority, Mike. Let's finish the question, right?
Okay.
You don't care about the fact. You don't care about the fact you were lied to. Well, you can speak for the majority.
Time down because you know you're wrong.
Yeah, you got me there, Mike. You got me there.
Yeah, okay.
All right, but there's still plenty of time. So
are you.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah, that's great. That's really stinging. That's really hurt. So the question is, if you care about people's lives, how can you be comfortable with him saying that he wanted the virus to rip through the population, Mike? Just talk me through it all the time you want.
He's doing a great job for the country, and you'll see it at the next election.
150,000 people more at this, but more. But this is a fucking couple of months old. It's more now. We've got that fucking Delta strain that's now gone. The fucking numbers have shot back up to 10,000 a fucking day. So all of that fucking... So the last year and a half waiting for that fucking pissing vaccine. You lot marching up and down, fucking fucking sneezing in each other's faces. Fucking, getting the numbers up, Like, it's all, like... If that new strain goes fucking, if that new strain spreads as quickly as and as prolifically as the last one, all of the last, we're back to square one, and that's on fucking you.
See, he'll get elected by another landslide.
127,000. No, you're not answering the question. You care about people's lives, but you don't care.
Oh, he'll get elected by a landslide. Well, I don't believe the election. I don't think that's the case. I think that's fake news. There you go.
About a prime minister wanting the pandemic to rip through the population. Just explain the logic of that position to me.
You're twisting words that he may not have said.
How can you twist words? How can he, if he didn't say them, how can you twist them?
He never said he wanted the pandemic to rip through. You just twisting his mind. That's
Mike,
what you always...
You didn't even know whether he said it. You don't even know he said it.
Mike, and I don't, you see.
Are. You can't accept it,
Sorry,
mate. Sorry.
Mike, what does that mean now?
What does it mean?
Yes,
what does what mean?
Bearing in mind that there
What
will
does
be
anything
people
mean?
listening.
Yeah, let's have an existential
mental health
crisis.
problems. Why do you say I came off suicide watch?
Well, because that was a rumour. I think that you'd been on suicide watch when the Brexit result went against you.
That was a rumour. Oh, so Boris Johnson saying that thing about that's clearly bollocks. But I heard some geezer down the pub told me I heard a rumour you were on suicide watch, and I believe that.
By rumour, you mean racists on Twitter?
No.
Where did you hear that rumour, Mike?
They weren't racists, right? Well, they might. I don't. I didn't know them that well. They might have been. They were cunts.
Where did you hear that rumour?
Social media.
Social media. How vague do you want to get?
Yeah, but not Twitter.
Well, okay. So give me some examples, really, because I might sue.
No.
Why not, Mike? Come on, Mike. Big brave, Mike. Tell it like it is, mate. Take your time. You've still got 2 minutes. Where did you hear that rumour?
He hasn't.
On social media.
Where?
Facebook.
Where?
Facebook, I just told you.
Who's the
Facebook. Just on Facebook.
accounts?
Well, I don't make a note of people's account. There was a lot
You
of
must
them.
be able to remember something.
He's clearly got a lot of friends, this geezer.
Are you going to come out and spew on national radio,
trivia.
Mike? Come on.
It's trivia.
It's trivia. James O'Brien is on suicide watch because of Brexit is trivia. How many pub quizzes is that going to be fucking turning up in?
You think it's trivia that people claimed I was on suicide watch? Come on, Mike, give me the source.
No.
Otherwise, people might think you're lying.
It was him. It was him, wasn't it? It was Mike.
Your views.
Mike, you have believed somebody posting on Facebook that I was on suicide watch, and you're here to claim that you've got a clearer bead on reality than I have.
Yeah, well, what you may have been, because all your dreams are shattered. And they keep being shattered, you can't accept it.
What are you talking about, Mike? Your man is calling for bodies to pile up in their thousands and the virus to rip through the population. And in order to defend your position on national radio, you're reduced to repeating libelous lies from Facebook accounts that you're too cowardly to name.
Okay. All right, well, you probably come out of this grinning and laughing at the next idiot that disagrees with you.
You just laughed,
it doesn't make any difference.
You just laughed, mate. What's wrong with laughing?
Because I can laugh at you. That's why you're deluded.
But you're laughing at my description of you as a cowardly liar.
Yeah, because I can.
Well, I know you can.
It isn't true.
I know you can, but why?
You can finger your
Because
prick
it
with a
isn't
fucking
true.
mini dildo if you
What's
want.
not true?
That I'm a cowardly
You have the right to do that.
Okay, well, you lied about me being on suicide watch, and you're too cowardly.
You lie about just about everything else.
You're too cowardly to tell me where you got that information from. So, if you add cowardly to liar, you get a cowardly liar.
It's up to you.
You're a cowardly liar.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I'm a cowardly liar.
There we go, mate. We got there in the end. It's 12 noon.
Okay. Okay, this is a caller who insists she's for the vaccine. She's not for the vaccine, but she's not a conspiracy theorist. Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go. Once more.
Oh, hi, James. I've been really scared to ring about this subject, and the reason is
because I don't want to get rinsed on national fucking radio.
because
I've been scared to. Mainly, probably because your family is scared. You're like, you know, your sons don't want you to go viral, but you have.
give you the background. So, I have always been in the natural health
My mum, like, drunk varnish when she was pregnant.
world, and it's what I do for a living, and it's what I believe inherently. So, my
Fucking natural world. Here we fucking go.
default is to do everything naturally. I exercise, eat well, take the relevant supplements, all that kind of.
Supplement. What are supplements? Are supplements natural? Are they? This is what I hate about these people. It's like, look, if you're gonna, don't give me this. I do everything naturally. No, you fucking don't. You're on the phone. You're on the phone talking to a geezer who could be hundreds of miles away on the radio that's broadcast over the internet. Was that natural, was it? Did the phone naturally fucking develop, did it? Did you find your clothes made out of fucking, like, tree bark and pissing fucking and dock leaves? No, you selectively choose what you think is natural. Right? I bet you take I bet when you got I bet if you get a migraine, you take a fucking headache pill, don't you? Exercise and fucking Gerson therapy and foods. Here we go. A disciple of Belle Gibson.
Thing. So when the vaccine came about,
as long as you're not seriously ill.
No, well, exactly.
Yeah.
But the way my needle moved was, I don't think I'm for the vaccine. Now, that doesn't make me a conspiracy theorist or weird.
No, it doesn't. It can make you a moron, but
it doesn't bit. Anything like that. No, it doesn't.
Well, no, James. In all fairness, it depends why.
And this is the problem. I tell you why it doesn't.
Yeah. She might just be not be in favour of the vaccine because she wants the human race to die out. In which case, that's a perfectly rational decision to make. You know.
Because I took my mum for her jab.
Oh, so your mum, you don't believe in anything natural for your mum, right? Your mother. How much you stand to earn? What's the inheritance?
I'm quite happy for that. I have. I don't discuss this with many people, and I said to you,
you're on fucking LBC radio, love. You've kind of, the horse has fucking the toothpaste out of the tube now, babe.
But even you just said, oh, it does a bit. That's so disrespectful to me. On the other side,
it's really...
but that's because, darling, generally people who say they're not for a vaccine are fucking nutters, right?
Really not, if it's true.
No, it's not. On the other side, I have those who are... Can I speak?
Yeah, well, of course you can, but you've just accused me of being disrespectful, so I need to defend myself.
Okay.
You don't believe... You're not for the vaccine. That is a conspiracy
theory. But I'm not against the vaccine either, James.
Well, then why did you... I'm sorry, you can't open with saying I'm sorry, if someone says I'm not for the vaccine, you can't say... So you're agnostic about the vaccine. You're vaccine neutral. But you don't want to take it. If you don't want it, why would you not want to take it? That's a strong position. That says where your fucking cards are laying, isn't it?
That's my whole point.
Right.
That's my whole point.
That's my whole point.
And it's this kind of pressure that's really made it difficult for me to make my decision. Now,
no, it hasn't, Karen. You've been fucking. This decision. This is a decision you clearly have. It's not. Look, it is not my fault, and it is not anyone else's fault. That that I'm against. I'm not in favour of the that I'm not against. I'm not in favour of the vaccine. Is the fucking for he's a jolly good fellow of fucking Looney Tunes.
Well, then speak to the scientists and the doctors.
Yes, which I have been listening. Within my circles,
I've been listening within my circle. Yeah, your fucking drum circle.
So the majority of people within my circles are very anti-vaccine. Okay.
Oh, what a fucking bugger me with a fish fork. What a sodding coincidence. Can you believe it, folks?
Because of obviously
It's because you go to probably one of these fucking wellness centres. Where they fucking stick 400 fucking pins in you. And give you some fucking some weird Japanese fucking version of some stinging nettle or some crap like this or some homeopathic fucking COVID bullshit, and you'll fucking take that instead.
Information that we have from the natural health point of view. Now the problem
is cobblers.
Yeah, sorry, but how is getting a vaccine not the natural health point of view?
Because I've not been pro-vaccine necessarily, I've then been almost labelled as the term that's being used as awake. On the other side, people who know better. I'm not comfortable with that because I'm not in that category.
I don't give a. This is not a conversation about what label you are personally fucking more comfortable with, or what you would rather, what group of fucking bonkers mental nutters you would rather be fucking grouped in with in the Venn diagram of where the fuck does anti-vaxxer Karen go. This is not the debate, darling. It's not about you.
Either. I'm just in the middle of I'm just a person who says, I actually don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, then speak to people who do know.
Well, the problem is...
Yeah, but she's listened to the scientists, James, but she's also listened to her friends who she hangs round with and who, coincidentally, she happened to all agree with her. These fucking... these fucking extreme cunts who fucking, think wind chimes are a musical instrument and do things like, you can't eat peas because it's like, toxin. They live on fucking rice cakes and fucking misery.
Biologists.
Okay, it's the position I've come
But why
to.
is that even controversial thing to say? If your car breaks down, do you go to a mechanic or do you go to your friends in your circle?
Well, I hope she doesn't drive a car, James, because that is clearly not natural.
The position I came to yesterday.
Please, just tell me that.
Yesterday? You came to this decision yesterday?
If you would.
Look, can I just say though?
You came to this decision yesterday. You started this call by complaining about how difficult it is for you to talk about this. You only came to a decision yesterday, and your first port of call is on day one, ring up James O'Brien?
The position I came to yesterday is I'm going to have the jab. I am going to have the jab, right?
Good. Well done.
Okay, and the reason was because I spoke to somebody... Well, I've listened to lots of people, and this is what I wasn't getting a chance to do.
Yeah, but it's not. You don't listen to lots of people, darling, right? You don't listen to you listen to the people who know what the fuck they're talking about. Right? You don't listen to a flat earther and and someone who's not insane.
Because everyone's so angry about this.
But no one's angry.
Well, because people are dying, darling.
They are.
Well, maybe your mates are, but I think the question you need to ask them is if their car breaks down, will they talk to each other or will they drive to a mechanic? If they need to have root canal surgery, will they get their mates round to do it in the kitchen or will they go to the
very
dentist?
Often you get second opinions. You go to a specialist.
Off another mechanic.
You go to a specialist or a mechanic. You go to another one. They give you two different quotes, two different ideas.
She's the kind of bitch who thinks that some geezer who works in a fucking alternative medicine shop that fucking sells all this pelt that was swept out of a fucking forest in China that is then repackaged and sold to dumb white Western nutters like her. These kind of miserable bitches who write books like Eat, Pray and Love.
Diagnosis.
And, no, they don't.
This isn't my car. This is my body.
Yes, exactly. Which is why you should be even more enthralled to experts and qualified people than you would be with your car. I mean, your argument is the opposite of what you think it is. You're suggesting that you would be more likely to trust your, quotes, circles and your natural mechanics than you would...
Her chakras are off, mate. Her chakras.
...be to trust actually fully qualified, proven experts and people who spend their entire lives fixing cars.
The problem I have with this is that although the natural world isn't, we don't specialise...
Where do you think this fucking disease came from, love? Right? You talk about the natural world. The disease is natural.
Virology and vaccinations, obviously, that doesn't poo-poo the fact that the natural world or the natural medicine isn't a scientific...
It isn't! That's why doctors won't tell you to take it. Find me one qualified fucking, one actual doctor, qualified GP surgeon with a PhD who would tell you to take homeopathic fucking rabies stuff or Ebola shit. Well, you might as well go and buy Brain Force, love.
Which it is.
And all of the naturally occurring substances in the natural world that have efficacy in the context of treating illnesses have been absorbed into...
Name one person who has been cured or whose COVID has been cured through natural means.
what we call not alternative medicine, but actual medicine. So again, just get the jab and tell your friends next time their car breaks down to just join a Facebook group and see if that will fix their big end. Yeah?
Get that. I mean, last night, can I just say quickly, night I was invited to an awake group for people who are awake to go along to a health rights
awake group for people who are awake. Well, that sounds like a fascinating fucking night out, innit? I can't think of a room full of people I would rather less be, surrounded by and conscious than her and her mates.
Which is about obviously not having your jab, and I think there's going to be. I hope the person who invited me is listening, but there's going to be like a 10-minute chant or something. Or
a chant. Oh, there you go then.
You see, this is the world that I'm not part of.
Well, you're
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I'm being invited into it, but I'm not.
Fuck off, COVID. Fuck off, COVID.
Listen, I'm out of time, and I've listened to you, and I wasn't disrespectful because the people you're describing are cranks and crackpots, but I appreciate fully that calling them cranks and crackpots doesn't necessarily reach the parts that other words cannot reach. But my goodness me, this is a worry to me. I know it's only one switchboard, but the celebration, and I use the word cautiously, of
what was her point? I mean, she said she's going to have the vaccine anyway, but she's not for it. But she's still going to go. I mean, and you know what the thing is? If she doesn't get it, she'll put it down to, she'll say, well, we don't know. It could be the vaccine, could be
the failure of the actual cranks and crackpottery to take over. It still makes a mockery of this notion of it being certain communities, which I think is quite toxic and deliberate and dangerous.
Cults, James. They're called cults.
Dangerous, but the well, I wonder whether these world-beating take-up rates are going to suffer slightly when the offer is extended to younger people who perhaps aren't as conscious of their own vulnerability. Is in Pangbourne.
Okay, this is all. Okay, this call is about footballers, the England football team, who, as you know, have been exposed all as secret Marxists. The richest, these geezers who earn £100,000 a week, who drive Lamborghinis and Ferraris and live in fucking mansions in the most salubrious parts of the country, and have £10 million deals with like sportswear companies and stuff like that. These geezers, all Marxists. For taking a knee, and this geezer says it's gone on long enough, even though it literally, like, in terms of the England team have done it twice. Yeah, twice, I think.
Francis, what would you like to say?
Hi, James. Thanks for having me on. I think it's a very unfortunate situation, and it doesn't look good for the country, frankly.
It doesn't look good for the country. You think you live in this reality, and I'm assuming you've paid somewhat attention to what's been going on in this country for the last 5 or 6 years, and you think this doesn't look good for the country. Footballers, the fact that the England football team rest on one knee for about 20 seconds before the game starts. It doesn't delay the game. They don't they don't insist everyone else does it. They're not even obliged to do it. It's something they've chosen to do. Doesn't look good.
All the booing is taking place. But I have a feeling that the reason why it's continuing is because the kneeling before games, I think, restarted as soon as football restarted back in August or July or whatever it was. And I think a lot of people think, when does this stop?
Well, probably, I imagine. Well, let's have a think. What are they kneeling for? They're kneeling, as a sort of a solidarity against people who are against racism. That's it. It's not Black Lives Matter. which is what some people have you believe. It's not like a fucking whole thing. It's just literally they are. It's just a gesture to show their solidarity with and against those who against racist racial bigotry and prejudice. That's it. So I'm going to assume that they will stop kneeling when racism ends. How about that? I mean, it's not going to end it, obviously. Can you imagine it's amazing the fragility of a couple of footballers kneel before a game. That's it. And you just, like, when is this going to end?
Not that they necessarily think that racism is not a problem, but...
But... It's not that I think that racism is not a problem, but...
Would this be an indefinite thing? I mean, I think that's... The lack of clarity on that, I think, is what's getting a lot of people so angry.
Well, don't talk to me about a lot of people.
Oh, what? So you expect these geezers to fucking tell you, well, we plan on doing this. We predict that racism will end around about mid-November this year, possibly, and and when that happens, then we will stop. You know, that's when we'll gradually phase out the kneeling. What if they kneeled What if each one of them decided to kneel for a completely different cause individually? Like, one of them's doing it, in favour of, like, animal rights. Another one's doing it for, gay pride. Another one's doing it for who gives a shit? Why, let's say everybody did it for the, what would it matter? How does this bother you?
Just talk to me about yourself.
Imagine how bad it is to be fucking a victim of racism. If this is how fucking some geezer's kneeling and reminding you that it exists. You didn't, because you didn't phone up to talk about the issue of racism and how bad racism is, do you? No, you're talking about the geezers who are fucking reminding you that it's there.
Well, that's exactly what I believe.
So you think we've had enough of it now?
Well, that's not the point, really. The point is that
Sorry.
I think there are a lot of people who would say...
But no, again, you're doing it, sorry to badger you, but I don't want to hear from a lot of people. It's a one-on-one conversation. You feel that it should stop now because it's gone on for long enough.
I think that it has to stop at some stage. Yes. Maybe not now, but I have a feeling... that...
Would you boo if you were there?
No, of course I wouldn't.
Well, why did you say it like that? Why did you say, of course I wouldn't?
Well, because that's what I feel.
But you share the views of the people that are booing.
No, he would just cross his... No, he wouldn't even boo. I've got more respect for the people who boo. At least they've got the fucking... At least they've got the conviction to actually fucking... to fully go and stand in public and fucking and express their fucking pig ignorant views. You're just the cunt who stands there with his arms crossed going...
You're explaining them to me.
No, I didn't. I said that I think at some stage it should stop.
Yes.
And I think...
At some stage it should stop. Well, that's a fucking... Thank God for that.
The problem is...
And the people who are booing are booing because, like you, they believe that at some stage it should stop.
Yes, but I said I wouldn't boo, so there's obviously a complete distinction there.
What's the difference between you and them?
I wouldn't boo, they are booing.
Yes, I know. What's the difference between you and them?
The difference between me...
To be honest, he literally just said they're booing and I'm not. So there is no difference.
And them.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of the booing, it's because I wouldn't boo, they would boo. I can't, again, you say you don't want me to talk about lots of people.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm not being unfair. There's no point you telling me what other people think when this whole phone-in is built upon the idea of if I walk into a room and you're kneeling, I can't tell you why you're kneeling. I can only ask you why
I know why he's fucking kneeling.
You're kneeling, and the footballers say we're kneeling to express our opposition to racism, our solidarity with the idea, with the statement that Black Lives Matter. To which my response is, well, flipping, you carry on, lads, for as long as you want, for as long as it takes, for as long as it needs. And your response is, yeah, I'm just going to check the watch and see whether it's time to withdraw support for this.
If I could ask you a question. If they were still taking the knee before football matches in 3 years' time,
Yes.
would you think that would be okay?
No, it would never enter my mind that there was a time limit on the fight against racism.
No, but if I had to ask...
Sorry, I've done you a disservice there. If the battle had been won.
So what would the battle have been won mean?
Well, then you'd have to ask them, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm asking you, though.
Okay, well, it would involve...
racism not existing. Have a day off, Trigger.
A confidence that institutional racism or persistent discrimination or double standards no longer applied across huge swathes of the country. It would also be nice to stop seeing black people getting killed by white police officers.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean...
well, what would it be for you? When would you...
You didn't ring up when that was happening, though, did you?
When would you think it was time up?
Well, I just think it's a question of proportionality. I think that we've now been...
Are you telling me that 11 geezers kneeling before a football match for like 20 seconds is disproportionate to institutional racism? What if they just squatted? You know? Or just stretched one leg out, you know, or hopped. What would?
I had the kneeling for a year, and I
don't understand why you were cross when I said you think it's gone on for long enough.
No, I think what the main reason I called in was to say I think that a lot of people have a feeling that this is never going to end, and I think that is what is causing.
But how do you think being a victim of racism feels?
I don't even need to say.
No, I'm not denying that that's not a problem.
But just in the context of being slightly annoyed that this is never going to end, you're comparing people watching kneeling to people enduring racism. I mean, it's never going to end. Pick a side. Who do you feel sorriest for? The people who have to keep watching these flipping footballers kneeling, or the people who have to keep living with institutional racism?
It's a question that there are many ills in society, and
we've drawn enough attention to this one now. Let's move on to another.
Yeah, we can't deal with two. We can't deal with like two issues.
Well, which one would you move on to first?
Well, should we say sexism? I mean, this is not.
Okay, let's say they were doing that. Let's say they're kneeling for racism now, and when we got that sorted, then they're going to kneel for sexism, then homophobia, then anti-Semitism, then transphobia. Then ableism. They're going to keep kneeling until we live in a fucking egalitarian utopia, and then they will stand up.
The question of who is the most oppressed.
Well, it kind of is, because you're saying how long is it going to go on for? To which the answer would be when there is presumably either meaningful progress or, may the day dawn soon, no oppression at all. And I stress again, for anybody else waiting to talk, don't tell me what you think other people think. You know, tell me. Well, no, you can't tell me what you think other people think, but I'm more interested in what you think. And
yeah, but that is what they think. They're just too gutless to fucking own it.
The question where you can tell me what other people think is, now that the players have explained, now that it has been explained crystal clear why they are doing it, how come anyone could still boo? Paul's in Croydon. Paul, what's he done?
This is a caller, Prince Harry. Who obviously is the favourite whipping boy of the right at the moment, because talked about issues he's had with mental health. This caller's going to accuse him of virtue signalling, because apparently it's virtue signalling to be mentally ill.
I'm wrong.
Yeah. Hi again. James. How are you? He hasn't done anything wrong per se. But I can only talk from my point of view, and it's...
Well, that's the point of this entire concept, this entire medium, mate.
Horrible timing, because I was talking to a researcher, and by the time it finished, I thought, oh no, am I an ogre? Maybe I should just put the phone down.
I think you'll find it's a troll.
Prince Harry, for me, personally, is like collateral damage for my own personal cynicism of celebs, people who I guess are celebrities. And I guess...
Yeah, but the thing is, he would be perfectly happy. He is a celebrity, not through his own, because he wants to be. He has got no choice. But he doesn't want the press. The reason he fucked off from this country is the treatment of the press of his wife, and also the fact that let's be honest, the press are pretty much responsible. You know, I'm sure in his mind, I don't want to speak for him, but they killed his mum. And I'm sure he probably doesn't want to, you know, he wants to protect his wife, his children, and himself from that fucking environment. He doesn't want, you know, he doesn't want to end up like that. Wouldn't you hate the press if you were him?
He is now a celebrity. Now he's not a royal. That makes sense.
Not really. No, it doesn't. I mean, he's still Prince.
Anyway,
Prince.
That's cool.
He's a prince. I guess that's a fairly... I mean, he's not a formal member of the royal family, but let's say he is someone who's managed to achieve...
ginger-haired stepchild, and we love him.
Whatever glow is bestowed upon him, lucky him. I just don't want to hear it anymore. After the year I've had, I think people have had...
Well, then don't fucking... Well, then turn... Fucking... Don't bother with it. If you see a newspaper article, fucking... If it's on the radio, turn it off. Move your fucking thumb, pal.
Personally, I just can't...
Did you have a... Well, just to check what it is you're saying. So when we did our... when we marked Mental Health Awareness Week a moment ago with Shirley Bassey, Joanna Lumley, Charles Dance, David Beckham, Jesse Lingard, Jamie Oliver, Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and Anne-Marie, did that stick in your craw as well?
No, because...
Why not? They're celebrities.
Because they're offering a service, I understand that. But they
were reading out a poem. This fella's talking about his own pain.
Yeah, but his pain can be subsided slightly, although everyone's pain...
He's talked about how he achieved that.
You don't talk about your mental health issues publicly for yourself. You do it for the benefit of other people who are uncomfortable. When people see celebrities or famous people talking about it, it makes people, people who are scared to talk about it, they go, oh, David Beckham. They might be a footballer. David Beckham has these problems. And he's talking about it. That makes me feel I can talk about it. Anything David Beckham does is cool.
Finish my sentence. Everyone's pain could be, his pain can be subsided slightly, but everyone's pain is important, including his.
Yes, but he's talked about his in the hope of helping other people deal with theirs, and he's talked about overcoming his, or subsiding, which is, I don't know that that's a word in this context, but he's talked about overcoming his. Let me finish my sentence. He's talked about overcoming his, and you're complaining about other people who haven't overcome theirs.
No.
What exactly is it then, in a sentence? So I say, what's he done wrong? And you say, he talks too much about his pain.
His wife's black, his wife's black, his wife's black, his wife's black.
I think, in a sentence, I am slightly tired of celebrities, if the word is virtue signalling, or offering
How can it be virtue signalling to talk about being in an Apache helicopter in Afghanistan, being chased by the paparazzi?
Sometimes possibly innocent people. For context.
Pardon?
You say in the Apache
helicopter. You know what, Paul, mate?
Well, okay.
You know that when you were waiting to come on and you thought maybe I should have hung up the phone?
Well, he did. I'm sure he did shoot people.
I think you should have trusted your instincts.
For fuck's sake.
Petition you think of when we talk, we look at the...
Okay, this is a caller who says MPs are as bad as each other. Okay.
Picture of David Cameron sitting in a tent with a
pig.
I think of Tony Blair meeting Colonel Gaddafi some years ago, shall we say.
And where was the taxpayers' money involved in that story?
Well, I mean, it's just more a point of where there were deals, shall we say, being done with regards to where funds...
No, it's not.
Wait, Tony Blair made a deal with Colonel Gaddafi. What?
It's about where was the taxpayers' money in that Blair Gaddafi? I'm not across the facts.
In that particular instance, I don't know. But
well, can we come up with one where there was? Because I like the argument that they're all as bad as each other, but I can't see much proof of it. So here is a former Conservative Prime Minister trying to get public money for a company from which he's poised to make 60 million quid. The Labour equivalent of that is...
Well, the Labour equivalent of that for me would be if you're...
Jeremy Corbyn once, stood on a stage and spoke, at an event where there was some other geezer there who was quite dodgy.
Choosing to deal with people that have put their own people against certain areas and basically shot them, or have decided to put them in prison because of their political views.
Did Tony Blair do that? This is the fucking. This is what I hate about people like this. They make you end up defending people who you have no interest in fucking defending.
So again, so where is the public money? Where's the public money in this example?
I don't have an example of that.
Well, how can you accuse them both of being the same then? So the story here is David Cameron trying to get his hands on taxpayers' money for the benefit of a company which could have ended up paying him 60 million quid. I'd love to come up with a parallel that involves a Labour politician, and you told me you could. So go on.
No, I can't say I can come up with a parallel with regards to that, but for me it's more an overall view.
Well, for me it's not. For me it's about this particular conduct being particularly egregious, and I'd love to hear of an example that would sort of prove that it's just as likely to happen in any other party as it is in the party of sleaze.
But for me, it's more an underlying view, James, that unfortunately over a period of time now, the way that we tend to treat politicians in this country still, as if there is a sense of entitlement there from either side.
Yeah. But I guess it's evidence. I understand what your feelings are. Your feeling is that they're as bad as each other, but I'm just looking for some evidence of that.
Well, the evidence of that is when you have politician after politician from either side promising that they will, and I understand the point that you make very well, where is the evidence that the Labour Party have done things as bad as the other side of.
Don't make me ask you again.
Well, you don't need to ask me again, James. I mean, I'm simply just trying to give you...
So there isn't any evidence at all of a Labour politician behaving in the way that Cameron has with regard to public money, lobbying, access and inappropriate conduct?
Not that I have, no.
And yet here you are ringing in to tell me that they're all as bad as each other. And that is in a way part of the problem.
Galloway's a bit massive cunt. I know he's not Labour and hasn't been for ages, but,
problem, isn't it, Paul? When I say how do they get away with it, the answer is people like you have been persuaded that the other lot are just as bad as the people who are actually doing the bad stuff, even though the other lot aren't.
Oh, shit. This is another geezer who booed the England team.
Tom is in Hampstead. Tom, what would you like to say?
Boo!
Good morning. I was actually at the Riverside yesterday, and I booed the knee.
Okay.
I booed the knee. I booed the knee. Knees are good. Knees are good. Knees are good.
Why do you think the players are doing it?
I know the reasons that they've said that they're doing it.
So you booed that then?
No.
So you booed the reasons that they haven't said?
My undertone is that when I hear the word Black Lives Matter, I think of burning buildings in America, attacking the police and violent protests.
Yes.
Right, that's what you think. Right, and that's their problem. How?
So I'm not.
Have you tried not to?
Sorry.
Have you tried not to think that? Have you tried to think about the words and what they actually mean?
One of my aunties actually was killed during a Black Lives Matter protest last year.
And that's appalling. But have you...
Okay. You call me. This is gonna make me sound like a cunt, but I'm calling bullshit on that, because why would he not? If he's willing to fucking enter that into the discussion, as we're in, and and I can understand how, personal trauma and personal grief can sometimes make people, believe unfortunate things that they otherwise necessarily. But he decided that the burning buildings and the police and the police buildings on fire and that was number one. The looting and attacking police, that was number one. His auntie being killed in a Black Lives Matter, that was like number 4.
Have you tried thinking about what the words actually mean?
I understand what they mean, and I agree with what
do they mean?
And well,
would your auntie be like, was your auntie the kind of woman, that would be happy with the fact that, regardless of what the circumstance that led to her death, that her nephew had decided to boo people who, because that can happen, look at Lee Rigby.
Saying that Black Lives Matter also matter. Black lives also matter. I understand that.
So why are you booing it?
Because of what I've just said about what I think about when I think of those words. Now,
if I walk into a room and you're kneeling, I don't get to tell you why you're kneeling or what you're showing support for. I get only to ask you. So we've asked the footballers why they're doing it, and they've told us, Tom.
Which I respect. And
well, you don't respect. The polar opposite of respecting it, mate, is booing it. I'm afraid it couldn't be a bigger U-turn or a more violent opposition to respect than the idea of booing something. So you don't respect it. You completely and categorically disrespect it. So let's just make sure we're using words accurately.
Absolutely, but it's, I think if you make a bold statement rather than just taking the knee every week, actually, I think I would respect it more.
Well, what are they supposed to do? What do you mean bold statement? Do you know what's funny? In 2004, in the 2004 European Championships, this was around about. It was the first time there was a championship. That there was this whole campaign by UEFA and the FA had kicked off called "Kick Racism Out of Football." There were every player when they were training, when they ran out, they had a vest on that said "Kick Racism Out of Football." There was a big banner that they all stood behind that said "Kick Racism Out of Football." There were banners all over, right? Nobody fucking booed that. Nobody. There was no fucking discussion about it. Now here we are, 17 years later, and there's this fucking. Now it's all political. It wasn't, the kick racism out of football camp, which by the way still exists.
But it's just a complete, politically correct statement done.
But again, you're telling them.
What do you expect them to be? Do you expect them to not be politically correct? It's football. It's one of the the whole thing about football is it's about look at the teams, look at the leagues, look at the fucking Premier League, look at all of the football leagues. It's one of the most multicultural, diverse fucking arenas, occupations in the world. Of course it's going to be politically correct.
And why they're doing it, and they're giving you a very different answer to that question.
Do you want them to come out and just start reciting Bernard Manning or Roy Chubby Brown jokes? Harry Kane comes out and says, what do you call a Pakistani hide and seek champion? I'm it.
And so what do you think qualifies you to say, oh, I know that's why you say you're doing it, but I know better?
Well, again, that's your opinion. For me...
No, you boo them. They've told you why they're doing it, and you're booing them for completely different reasons.
But then that's my opinion.
Your opinion is that you know better than them as to why they're kneeling. You claiming it was my opinion a minute ago.
I've read what they said about why they're kneeling. I've been going to games for 10 years, home and away. I'm going next week to Croatia at home. I'll be at all the Euro games, and I'm also going to Qatar next summer.
You forked out what must be a small fucking fortune to go and boo. I know people don't give football fans a lot of credit sometimes, but that is spectacular.
What do you think? What impact do you think it has on the players when they get booed by their own fans before the game starts? Do you think it might gee them up a bit?
Honestly, I think that part's bad.
There was one geezer who I can't fucking find a recording of. There was one geezer who phoned up and said that the people booing, they are representative of the silent majority. Right, now just think about that. Right, just think about that. That geezer, this guy actually had that thought. The people booing are the silent majority. That's the level of fucking... That's the mentality of these people. They're that fucking... They can't see...
And I'm one of the people that do it. I think it's bad because, England are going into a major tournament and we're basically... The biggest story at the moment is the fact that there's a divide between the fans and the players.
But why is it a big story? It's not a big story because of them. It's a big story because of cunts like you. They're not the only ones fucking doing it. Mexico, just in the news, Mexico have actually banned their fans from coming to see their next 2 fucking games because at their last game the fans were chanting were all chanting homophobic football chants at them, and so the Mexican team have said, right, you're not coming, no one's coming to the next 2 games. You're at least allowed to go and see them. You're afforded that much. Imagine if they banned people. They started saying, right, if anyone caught booing when they take the knee is banned. It wouldn't be. Similar things have happened. There's been people who've been banned from fucking certain clubs for life because they've been caught singing certain chants.
Well, some fans, mate. I think you got drowned out by the majority. Just a small proportion of fans who many people think are racist, but I presume you reject that description.
I'm absolutely outright not racist, but
But you boo the Black Lives Matter kneeling.
Some of my best friends are racist. I mean black.
I blew that black.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
What do you think the word support means?
Support what? In what context?
Any context you want.
Behind.
What do you think fucking context? In the context of a fucking football match, you fucking titanium skull pillock.
Getting behind, isn't it? Encouraging.
Yeah, so you're there to actually make them play worse, are you?
Well, no. I spent probably our best
Yes,
part
but that doesn't... The amount of money you spent does not resonate in a stadium during a game.
50, 60,000 over the last 10 years following in home. I was in Russia 2 years ago.
Yes, but we're talking about yesterday. I mean, by booing the players, do you think you are more likely to make them perform better or worse?
I think it's a very touchy subject. That's not got...
It's really not. You can ask me the same question if you want. If you boo me... Well, put yourself in that situation. What do you do for a living, Tom?
What's that, sorry?
What do you do for a living?
I work in the city.
Okay, so if I came...
Work in a city, wanker.
...into your office and started booing you and...
What sort of fucking... How vague's that? You pretentious prick. We've already worked out you're not fucking skint. You can fucking afford to travel and go to World Cup and fucking European Championship games. You clearly got to work in the city. So does a fucking road sweeper.
Disrespecting you and you say to me, why are you doing that? I'm just trying to do my job. I said to you, hang on a minute, Tom, I know what you're really up to. You're not doing that. And do you think you would perform better or worse at work?
Hang on, I'm not disrespecting or...
yes, you are. You're booing them. We've already established that. So... Would you be more likely to make them play better or worse by booing them? It's not a trick question.
I'm not. When the players come on the pitch, they get a clap, we sing their anthem, and stuff like that.
And then you boo them. So do you think booing them will make them...
So they go, yay, boo, boo, hey, fucking hell.
Play better or worse?
But it's not about the football, why I'm booing them.
I don't care. Do you think it will make them play better or worse?
I mean, I guess worse. That's
and here you are. Are you going to boo them at the Croatia game?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. You're a massive supporter, you are, aren't you?
And these are the same people who were fucking... Last night when they drew 0-0 with Scotland, they're going, oh God, it's just... Yeah, you know what? There you go.
How big's your flag?
Sorry?
How big's your flag?
I've got a British flag, just to,
Yeah,
I've got a British flag. Well, you shouldn't have a fucking British flag. You're supporting England, you fucking prick. Get a fucking England flag. You could be supporting any country with a fucking Union Jack. Christ almighty.
I know you have. You don't need to tell me that. I'm just wondering how big it is.
I can't remember, sorry.
All right, and how hard do you wave it when you're booing the England players?
I don't wave a flag.
Oh, call yourself a football fan?
I know, unbelievable.
Mate, do me a favour, seriously, keep your thoughts, that's fine. If you want to believe that you know better as to why these human beings who've told you why they're doing something are really doing it, you've got a better insight. Just don't boo them, because we want to win, right? And you've just said yourself that by booing them you make them play worse. Can't you just keep quiet for a month?
Well, but the problem is, look at Millwall. Honestly,
look at Millwall!
No, I don't want to look at Millwall. I don't support Millwall. I want England to win. You don't want them to win. Why are you going to the games? Why are you using up a seat that a proper fan could have?
Well, it's based on loyalty, and I was imagining...
Loyalty to the...
Loyalty, so oh, for fuck's sake, I'm done with this. That's it, folks. I think we're done there. Hope you've enjoyed this. Dick Coughlan, insane rap bloke, brother Neuro. Check out.